Greetings, everyone. So, this is yet another one for the day because precisely when I first entered this hotel, that thankfully has the same manager than when I first entered it, I was a long haired brunette and they have my paperwork at administration. And I thought it would be maybe fun and helpful to do this again since I did this already in LA when I was emailing the cops every single day of my life. But that is the passport that I entered the United States with. So as you see, and then this is all in Arabic. Then in English, it says birthday is where's the birthday part here? Somewhere. There you go. 6/10/84. October 6, 1984. And then they renewed my passport later on when I went there and then visited my mom and had a panic attack when, Caitlin's mother called me a Russian doll and started to mock me vehemently, and I slept in my car. I was literally gonna have a stroke that night. I stood with the cops. I told the cops I'm being bullied from, Japan to Australia to United States to Beirut, and I'm not safe. I stood with the cops all night on the streets, and I was wanting to shave my head because at that point I had long blonde hair, but instead I went to the hairdresser. He refused to shave my head, so he cut my head really short. And I had to, take this picture to renew my passport before I came in last time. And this, I wasn't, that was not, that's years after I stayed here. And again, 6/10/1984 is the birthday. Beirut is the origin for, my Tabrawi, meaning Tiberius, initial Judeo, then Christian origins. And as you all see, what else did I want to point out here? I think that's it for that document. And then I have so many more. That's the driver license, and it's like a driver license for life. And also, it also says Beirut 22. That's how we write 22 here. That's my social security number over there. And it also says 6/10/84. That's the birthday. And then I have way more than only those documents. I have so many documents that say who I is. So many. Maybe you guys are going to get really jealous if I parade them all in your faces. But that's the Phoenix paperwork. So this is when I went from here later. This is before I checked into this hotel. So this is right before my divorce when I moved from Sarasota to Hilton World. That was what I looked like. I had very long black hair. And again, it says in Arabic all the same thing, 22 Beirut and my birthday and everything. So when I checked into this hotel, this is what I looked like. Right? This is my picture. That's what I looked like. And I checked in here. It was 2015. It was March 2015. I spent 1 week, and they all know me in administration. I would not really, I was not really a party girl. I would just sit in here and sing and, write my journal and light candles and incense. I didn't smoke cigarettes, and I literally smoked weed really rarely. It wasn't such a thing. They all know me here, and I was the only one in all the hotel when everybody got bed bugs. I didn't have bed bugs because they know I'm a clean freak. I used to clean everything myself, and I used to launder the sheets and the towels myself and my clothes all the time, and I used to only get organic food in the fridge, never watch TV, go to the beach, walk the beach, get the crystals. And I started my, internet work from here majorly, and I was actually making a bunch of money, to be quite sincere. So that's where I took like a master class with a woman in LA. The master class was called like Abundance Now or something. So like I paid, I paid for like my master class in abundance here. And then I got a lot of Reichian classes online here too for all kinds of Reichian therapy. And that's what I initially began when I began lovedima.com. That's what I was initially selling. I was selling Reichian therapy, yoga classes, organic food tutorials, like, crystal like light work, etc. And whatever I was doing for my initial ascension. And then after Shasta, when they had me perform surgeries, is when I came back and upgraded my website to the next level. And so, I even have more documents about my identity here, and it's all the same. So that's, when it comes down to closing down the chapter for, this COVID-19 thing. And I literally had to fight for this. Like, this is what they stole in Miami. And I fought very hard to get it all back. And that's how our paperwork is done. This is like the Hawiya. So this is also October 6, 1984. So I never let myself down. Like, I always knew that the whole point is to keep myself breathing until the last minute, until I can call out all the thieves. And what they practically did when they failed to have their plan work with like Shannon and whatever homeless people they would send to my hostel in LA, and Lisa, Christine, and the other, Miriam that like strangled me in my hostel that morning I was leaving to Miami. Like, so many episodes of weird shit. And the George in the hostel that got raped literally next door. And Miriam told me that like I was awake. Like, they tell me weird stories and I don't remember this episode, but it was a very defaming episode that I don't really want to repeat now. But long story short, they sent this like guy from South Carolina who, had like something to do with an Armenian guy in the hostel. And, everything that ever happened, I sent detailed reports to LAPD every day to protect myself, because I don't know who to trust at all. Like, I am very paranoid since this happened. And lucky for me, when I checked into this hotel here, they used to give, it was a H2 type visa facility where they housed all these people from Eastern Europe who came to practice working in all those restaurants here, food and beverage. They brought them from Mesopotamia, Hungary, Russia, and other nations, which I'm not very certain about now. But, I was literally chatting with the First Contact Grand Crew team day and night, and anything they needed, I was their to-go girl. And I don't know why, since then there was 2 beds in the room. It was probably for this COVID ending, like, because I don't even know what it is, but it's unraveling now. And so I entered the hotel. I had very long black hair. I spent a week, I wouldn't really even see or talk to anyone. They were all very intrigued by me. And then next thing they know, I had that dream when I got the First Contact Grand Prix team surgery. And I had to shift hair from like very black to, I had to bleach it 3 times to then go pink and purple. And they saw me through all these phases in this hotel. So, now they're having me back as like blonde after all these years with shorter hair, and like I have a streak of black that I did last week. And, all I have to say still is that I thank Wilcox police, because, Wilshire, because once I showed up at the cop station, which Sam in LA that let me stay in his hostel room when the Germans wanted to kick me out of the hostel, and literally they wanted me to die on the streets in LA. That was the plan. They always want me to die, because Amber said, it's you or I. She wanted me dead. It's not a joke. This is not a joke. So Sam kept me in the room for a week at that hostel where, literally God always shows up. Like, I was in extreme danger. The Team Gemini had sent a guy, because Gemini also put death threats and deportation threats on me. So she sent her buddies from Team Gemini. The guy almost raped me in South LA. That's when I had to beat him up. And, when they do one line of crystal meth, which I don't partake in, they become animals. So then, I had to push him off and beat him up. And I was yelling really loud. And then he gave up. Like I said, I started to call upon Jesus in my body. And I'm like, Jesus, if this guy actually penetrates me and, if anything happens, I'm not going to be able to continue fighting for you, Jesus. So I think this is when the guy probably lost his erection, because I was biting him and putting my nails in his back so hard that the guy had to back off. And then he said, okay, you can go now. And I was like, of course he's joking. I was like in disbelief, because then I went to the restroom, I hid there, and I'm like, do you have a gun? Because I thought, of course, if I step out of the restroom, because he was really aggressive, if I step out of the restroom, he's going to shoot me. But obviously he wasn't that smart, and I didn't have any picture of his ID. That was like the first trip to LA this year. Then the second trip to LA this year, every guy, I would like take pictures of their ID, because now I know better. So then he told me, you're going to go down the stairs and you're going to go to the right side corner, because my friend's waiting for you at that intersection. He's going to take you where you need to go. So obviously I went the opposite side of where he told me to go, and I ran like a maniac, and I just jumped in front of a bus, and I'm like, stop! And I went in the bus, and I told the guy I was under, a severe rape attack. And then I went towards Hollywood, where I'm more safe than in random areas of LA. And that's when, I went to like La Monarca, which is a cafe by Gower, and I was like, I was out of breath. I was like, I need coffee. And I was talking to the young Latina there. She's like, do you need a therapist? Because I don't want to listen. Like, the Latino gang is all polarized against me, like real bad. So I was like, my God, that is pretty hostile. So I walked out of there, and then I told the cops, and then they're like, ma'am, what do you want us to do? The cops in LA, in Wilcox, they cry. Because when I go and I tell them, hey, sir, they just stole my phone at Chick-fil-A, right out of Miami, they stole my phone. They're like, they start to cry, because the Illuminati Masonic people walk in there, they take that much money out of the ATM machine, they put it in the cop's face, and then the cop has to shut up because they're being, bribed, which is anti-Christ. That's anti the gospel. So then they start to cry. They tell me, go to the cops in Miami. But then when I go to the cops in Miami, they always play a joke on me. And then the cops in Miami told me, why don't you go and register for identity theft in Atlanta, since your last luggage piece was missing in Atlanta? And as a matter of fact, as soon as I landed in Atlanta last time, I tried to go to the cop station there or call the cops, but then they also play a joke on me every single time. So all the cops are playing a joke on me, which is not funny at all. It's not funny. The joke's on you. So that's what I have to thank this hotel for. And I literally owe this to my dad, because when I checked out of this hotel, at the end of my 9-month stay, in the end, they started to demolish the hotel while I was staying here. So they were like dismantling the walls, and there was a lot of dust coming out of the walls and everything. They were refurbishing the place, and they didn't really give us any notice. So then, my then friend Matt Hudson, who helped me make the 1,000 business cards for Dima Local Beach Angel, was like, you have to get out of here. And that's when I got a place in Broad Creek Landing with Laura Shofroth. He's like, you're gonna get sick with this like toxic emanations from the walls. And I had to be dragged out of here, literally, because this had become like my complete comfort zone. So as I was leaving, people had like said so many nasty things about this hotel to me. And like my dad knew, like I'd owed them around $840 something. And I told my dad, he's like, no, you can't ever leave a place, and burn a bridge. Like, pay what you owe, pay your dues. And he forwarded like $2,000 to me, and I paid them my dues. And now that I walked in and I told the being who like registered me, like who gave me this opportunity here, the story and the receptionist and everything. And literally, like, if you keep standing up for Jesus and for right action and you're not a thief, you pay your dues and stuff, you will always be redeemed. Basically, that's how it works. So that's about what it is for these topics. And one more thing I wanted to say is that okay, so once I got to Wilshire to register myself as homeless, because that's what Sam in LA told me to do from the Banana Bungalows, and I'll tell you guys the story about how I got saved in Banana Bungalows that day. I was in Gower at Vibe Hotel, and now they don't let me there anymore since like since the total identity theft. They don't let me there anymore. I can't ever check into Vibe Hotel anymore because in every computer they stole all my information. In Gower and in Fairfax, they stole everything. Like in Gower, every time I sat at a computer, they would send one of their people who like would sit like after me and then decode everything and steal every password I put in and everything all the time. It's all they ever did. So I was starting to be terrified because I had paid all my money already, and I had decided after this rape, the rape changed my life. So after the rape attempt, it was last year right after Thanksgiving, so that at the end of 2019, I decided that I come first and I'm not going to sacrifice any more my life to sleep under trees, to stay away from men after Stephen Thompson fucked me up the worst ever. Like, I was actually going to physically finish and die because I already told him it happened to my mom. That's why she got comatose, because once you are from my lineage and you're penetrated by a guy, he goes elsewhere, he puts it back in you. We are so sensitive beings. I'm an empath, a clairvoyant. I'm a very sensitive being. I feel every shit from the other people. It gets me very sick. And I told this at my first date with Steven. But he doesn't listen. He has no respect for women. He's a terrorist, basically. That's what it is. From Myrtle Beach. And his family must be all arrested. Peek, peek, peek now. And the Louisiana whore. Peek, peek, peek. Amber Dongalardia and Michael Adam Tompkins is Ohio. Arrest, now, quickly, what are you waiting for? Then, I'm in this hostel and I'm terrified because it was my last night and I didn't have cash, and obviously I don't suck dick for money, which they like. That's their whole point. That's why they shut down my bank Audi. They tried to disconnect me from my dad and everything so that I am forced to become what they want me to become. A prostitute, which I will never become because Jesus is first, right? I'm Jesus' fire. That's why I earned my covenant. So then I'm sitting there and I'm terrified. Like, what am I going to do? I have to check out. And if I go out there, and I was really scared of this guy because he told me, if you open your mouth about the rape attempt, I'm going to screw you over in LA. And when they say these things to me, I believe them, because Gemini is very dangerous with her Latino gang. You know, like, it's like super nigger style. So I'm like completely terrified. I'm like, they're gonna get me. Like, they're gonna beat me down on some street corner, rape me, and I'm gonna be dead tonight. I didn't know what to do, and I went to my room that day, and there it was. There was another key. Literally, in the restroom, there was a key. One of those swipe card keys. And I was like, what the fuck? Are you for real? And I went out of the room, and I tried it, and it opened the door. So that was a divine intervention. So I decided I was not going to tell anybody, and I was going to stay in the room and hide overnight until, you know, the threat passes. That's exactly what I did. And then the next day, the German, you know, like sexist, racist, misogynist, atrocious motherfucker at Gower looked at me. He's like, what are you still doing here? You had to check out yesterday. How did you manage to open the door? He got so pissed off. Obviously, I didn't tell him I had a key. I kept the key. I kept the key in my wallet. And then I get out of the hostel and I'm walking on Hollywood Boulevard, and that's when Sam intercepts me and he goes, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I didn't really tell him. I was like, you know, kind of kicked out. I was like, I'm not even really sure. I'm just walking around. He's like, hey, you should come to my room and la la la. And that's when he started to tell me, hey, your identity got stolen. I'm like, what do you mean? And then he started to So then I started to panic. I didn't sleep for 4 nights. I called every possible number of FBI, CIA, lawyer I could ever find on my phone or receptionist, like Google style, but my phone obviously is hacked by the same people. So if I call an FBI agent, it's going to be one of their team, so they're going to laugh at me. Just like when I call a 911 in Miami, they laugh at me and they shut the phone. Like, I'm a joke to these people, right? Like, I have zero security. They want me dead. The American government has been wanting me dead or deported for the longest time ever. So then we moved from this hotel. After I spent a week, I was hiding in his room because I didn't want to see that German guy. I was terrified by him. Then we left this hostel. We went to the Orange hostel where I emailed Trump from, and I called USCIS, and they gave me another chance. They're like, okay, ma'am, we know you're alive. They knew that my identity was stolen, but they have to play the game. Like, even USCIS, they wear masks, okay? They're like, they don't tell me the truth about my identity theft. And they're like, why don't you tell us a letter about what happened since you left your last address in Hilton Head Island? And they always ask me, what was your last address in Hilton Head Island? And every time I forget, it's 43 South Forest Beach Drive, apartment 219. Now I have the printout sheet again, thanks to UPS, which I praise in the highest all the time. So what happened was I called USCIS from the Orange hostel. That's when I bought the Betty Boop bag that they stole again, at 143 Days Inn, with all the gift cards, etc., from like the LA infestation through Jonah, etc., to my whole identity here yet again. Because all they ever try to do is take me down again. Every time I'm like above the ground, poof, they try to fuck me up again. That's what they're here for. They're demons. It's obvious. So next thing you know, I go to Wilshire police, and I'm like registering myself, and they're like, they saw my green card and my driver license from Florida, and they're like, why are you registered as October 5 in our files, ma'am? Then they're like, oh, and the Armenians told me this. They're like, oh, ma'am, you're going through what they call identity theft and human trafficking. I was like, oh, how interesting. What does that even mean? And then they gave me, EBT food stamps, but they couldn't give me EBT cash until I got them David's social security number, which I almost got printed out in Miami because Amber had sent one of her fake, friends, or like her real friends that act like, government agents to me, but they're all frauds. Like, they're all here to lie to me. Amanda in Miami, and she's a fraud. And every person they ever sent me in Miami, they were all frauds. They were all their friends that were only working to get me deported, denaturalized, and bugged off of the United States. That was their only aim, basically. So I have, the Wilshire cops to thank for that. But then once I went back to Miami under the guidance of Wilcox, and then out of Miami I went to San Antonio, then Dallas, then back to LA, all the people on LA Boulevard told me, no, you never went to Dallas, you never even left this hostel, you've been here the whole time. Because as I was traveling, they had like Amber cars next to me all the time driving with like connections to the internet, Wi-Fi, and everything I tried to post, they would post first. So that's how they've been making all my money. And they have infiltrated my Bank of America. Now they own it. But before, they used to use my savings account as theirs, and they only used to like let me use my checking account and stuff. And then the last time in LA of how I came back here, I was on the boulevard, and what I do on the boulevard, I walk the boulevard very confidently, and we all talk to each other in LA. It's not like here, like nobody talks to you and everybody's weird. Everybody's talking to each other at a bus station, in the metro. You always meet people. Like, the car windows are open, they're rolled down. They're all like, hey, everybody's hollering at you. So I give them my card, and then they call the